All right, now the part of the job I've been dreading the most is getting all this wood off the back of the off the back of the redwood. So I'm gonna start off by using these putty knives. So I got a 4-inch, 6-inch wide one. It actually works pretty well. Sure, I don't take. Try not to take any of the redwood out. There's a little bit of redwood rotting right here, you can see. So, I'm using this rubber mat so the stuff won't move around. Now this one's covered with glue, so I don't think that's going to come off. We'll see. That's kind of coming off. All right, just got to be careful not to take off too much redwood. And then if I need to, I will use my Orbit sander. It's got 80 grit sandpaper on it. So if I need to use this, then I'll use that at the end. So for now, we'll just use these scrapers and get off as much wood as we can. The old half-inch indoor-outdoor plywood. And then we'll, if we need to finish up, we can use this. This will be perfectly flat. It'd be nice if it was kind of flat, so I may just probably make a pass over each one with the sander when I get done. We'll see. All right, we're done. So this this door had a lot more problems, a lot more residual indoor-outdoor plywood, because I think the indoor-outdoor plywood rotted more on this side. So this side, you can see, came off really cleanly. You can see this is construction adhesive, which we're going to use again. We're not going to use that wood glue for the connecting these boards to the uprights. So we're going to use construction adhesive again. But anyway, so this, I got to get this off. So this side came off much easier. I mean, as far as this side cleaned up a lot easier. This side there's a lot of residual construction adhesive, and like there's still some on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pass with my Orbit sander on each one. Just a quick pass, smooth it out a little bit. Not trying to get it perfectly flat, because that's going to be impossible. All right, so we're ready to sand, and I'll be wearing a mask. Good idea to wear a mask when you're sanding. And I'll be wearing ear protection because the sander's not super loud, but it's really annoying. And I'll be wearing safety glasses. So wear your protective gear. It'll protect you from getting injured. All right, we're done sanding. Hooray. So we did all we're going to do as far as prepping. I realized at some point that the middle here doesn't really have to be super smoothed out because there's not going to be any boards here. It's only on the edges. So anyway, we'll wipe this off. And the other thing the sanding did for us is it opened up the grain a little bit on the back of the redwood, so it'll accept the stain better. That'll help protect it a lot more, because the stain on the front really helped protected the front, but the back was up against the plywood, didn't really get much protection. So now I'll be able to put stain on the back of the redwood. That'll really help preserve it, because it'll soak in from both sides. Like, see, there's quite a bit of rotting here on this piece of redwood, but it turns out that it's still got a lot of integrity, so that's good. All right, so we'll leave this until tomorrow, and then we'll come back and assemble the doors and do a test fit, and then we'll start staining them. All right, it's the next day. Let's see how we did with our clamping. So here's the first one. So this side is super straight. Let's get these clamps off. So we just remove these clamp blocks, and this is just as strong as a solid piece of wood now. So the other one was a little bit trickier because it was longer, and I had to be careful not to let it get tilted. So I had to crank on this side a lot more than the other side to make sure that this side is flat, that's the side that's going to be up against the boards. So we'll get this off. Okay, so again, this is just as strong as a solid piece of wood. And I'm going to go ahead and get these clamp boards off, then we're going to lay it out. Original idea was to have two uprights crossed by these fascia boards, and then have screws coming in from the back just long enough to go into the fascia boards without going all the way through, so we have a nice clean front. And if it's too flimsy feeling, I'll probably put it diagonally, and I have some extra scrap redwood that I found. So let me get these clamp blocks off and then we'll start gluing it up and see how it goes from there. All right, I'm on the other side now so it won't be casting a shadow. So here's all our boards. We're going to use the, this side's the side with the hinges on it. So I made sure the boards were the proper, hinges were in the proper locations based on the doors that are still on there. So there's, a board at the top and then 6 boards from the first to the second one, and then another 6 boards to the bottom one, and then a board on the bottom. So make sure it's lined out correctly. I'm going to make sure these are all square. So I use my square. And this would be perfect, but you don't want it all raggedy. So making sure these are all on the same flat location. Yeah. And then we need a solid piece of wood on the side with the hinges, just because it doesn't really matter, but it seems like it makes sense. I picked the flattest side to go down the bottom. It doesn't have a split in it, but again, it's not really going to matter that much. And then we need to apply glue to this side before we lay it down. I'll have to score these back up again before I screw them in. So we're going to be using liquid nails. It's a good heavy-duty bonding agent between wood, and it's good for outdoor applications. And we've got our caulking gun, so I'll show you how to use that. So let me get that set up, and then we'll go ahead and glue this, and then screw it in. All right, so we're going to be screwing the boards in with these 2-inch deck screws. So that's enough to go through the 2x4-ish redwood, and then go just enough into the fascia board to lock it in. But we're going to be gluing it, so like I said, so here's our super glue, or liquid nails. So I'm putting these gloves on because I don't really want to get this on my hands. I like these vinyl food preparation gloves rather than latex gloves. They're cheaper, and I get extra large, so if I don't mess them up too much, I can take them off and reuse them. So whereas the latex gloves are hard to get off without turning them inside out, and they're all usually have a lot more sweating. Anyway, I like these better. So now we need to open this up. So this is a caulking gun. So the caulking guns, at least this one, comes with a tip cutter. You just put it in this hole at an angle. It cuts the tip off. Then you got to puncture the glue container. Now it has this thing here to puncture it, but I like to, when I get done, I like to put a 4-inch nail in there. I guess this is only 3.5. That's a 4-inch nail, yeah. To kind of plug it up in case I can use it again. Now it's only going to last, a few days before it's going to get dried out, but it's possible I might be able to use this for some other project. So you put this in here, it'll keep the air from less air from getting in there. But I may as well use this to puncture it rather than that other thing. So it has a puncture. Let's make a few more punctures. It'll flow better. That should be good enough. All right, so we put in our glue gun, our caulking gun, rather. Crank it down. There. So we get some coming out. There it comes, okay. All right, so we're going to put a bead down on here. I like to do a figure 8 bead, so go in one direction and come back the other way. Don't want to get it too close to the edge because I don't want it gooping out. Come back the other direction to make the figure 8. All right, so when you release the glue, you want to push this button on the end so the glue doesn't keep sticking out. All right, so we got our glue laid down. I'm going to flip this over. Oops, don't want to flip the camera over. flip this over. Now we wanted to have, on this side we want it to be close to the edge of the boards, because when the hinges go up against it, it's going to be a little bit of a gap to that 4x4 upright that's in the center. So we just want to make sure it's centered top to bottom. And make sure, yeah, we want to make sure this doesn't hit that, this side doesn't hit that upright on the center of the cabinet, so that it causes it to not close all the way. So a little bit of a gap here, maybe half an inch, something like that. All right, then that's good. Okay, now we're going to start screwing this in. So put 2 screws in each board. And let's see, those aren't magnetic, I guess not. Oh, this isn't a magnetic bit anymore. Of course, using my safety glasses. Yeah, so by putting the bit directly in the thing instead of using my extender, it's not magnetic, but that shouldn't make any difference. We want to go countersink in, or else it's not going to engage the board underneath. So. Yeah, so now it's lifting that board, so now we know it's engaging it. All right, so I'll do the rest of these, and then we'll do the other side. All right, I realized after I put the first 2 screws in, I need to do both sides at the same time to make sure each board in sequence is lined up and everything. So we're going to go ahead and glue this side, and then we'll screw in the same 2 screws on the same board. Then we'll make sure these are butted up against, the next board is butted up against this board, and then screw both sides and so on. So let's find the flattest side. You have to use this side, yeah. All right, so we'll put the glue on this side, the liquid nails. The liquid nails doesn't dry right away. It takes a few hours, so you have some time to work with it before it solidifies, which is essential for this application. So it's not like super glue or something. So we'll put down our bead again, figure 8 bead. There's going to be some gaps. We don't want to make it too thin, the bead that is. Make sure it has a good amount there to, we don't want it squishing out, obviously. Okay, release the pressure, wipe it off a little bit, put the nail back in. And we need to keep this, we want to keep this as, exposed to air as least as possible, because we need to use it on the other door, obviously. We'll flip this over. Now this side we want more of a gap, because when the 2 sides come together, we don't want this board hitting the board on the opposite side. That's the same thing I did with the plywood. The plywood didn't go right up against the board. So, all right, so this is about, make sure these are all squared up here. Yeah, so we don't need to square all of them up immediately, but as you work each board, we need to make sure it's square on that side, then it'll automatically be square on this side. Okay, so we know this one is solid because we screwed it in. So go ahead and screw in this side. And then we'll just work, we'll always work from the hinge side over this way. I lift it up a little bit to make sure it's actually engaged. So this redwood I'm using for the 2x4s is pretty soft, so. I'm going to swap out my battery, it sounds like. I'll swap this battery out and I'll just keep going. So when I get to the side, I'll show you how to square that up, and then I'll just do the rest. All right, we're back on the hinge side. So we want to make sure that the boards on either side of the one we already did are square. Got our same reveal on this side. Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, and then make sure it's butted up against it. We don't want any big gaps. So let me just put the screws on this one. Yep. Make sure it's butted on this side before we screw the other side in. It still can rotate a little bit here. All right, make sure we didn't go through. Yeah, we didn't. Okay. All right, then we'll just do the other side over here, but let's do it from this side. Just butt it up against it. Yep. All right, so we got our first 3 boards done. So we'll just work our way out from the center on both sides. And when I get done, I'll do the other door too, and then we'll do a test fit. All right, there's our first door. It came out good. So minimal gaps. The edges are pretty much lined up. Some little variations, but so it doesn't fit completely all the way to the top of the. There's a little gap at the top. We want to keep as low a gap at the bottom as possible to keep the rats out. But we just need to hang it. We need to re-screw it in here and hang it up again. So, all right, 1 down and 1 to go. All right, here's the second door. All done. I don't need any cross pieces. This is stiff enough with just these 2x4s and the 5/8 inch Redwood. So there's not a lot of pressure on these doors, so they're just mostly closed all the time. So we just need to test fit them and then mount them. And we can't mount them right up against the ground because the edge of the deck is not completely flat. So they have to be up off the ground a little bit. So, all right, we'll test fit them and then we'll screw them in. Actually, we're going to test fit them and then we're going to take them back out and then we're going to stain them first and then finish the mounting. So I'm actually going to mount them first to make sure they fit, and then I'll stain them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Post a comment if you have any questions or ideas, and I'll try to respond. That's all for now, but more videos are coming, and if you want to see them, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification icon if you don't want to miss one. This is Beta Cygni signing out, and keep looking up.